Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast, along with my partners Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, and Shelton Moss. I am Curtis Wilson, and this episode is brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street. Definitely go see Jeremy. Rowdy for Robbie is back this week in Lot 1. If you don't follow Grayson Winbush, follow him. He'll give you the exact location. I got a feeling it's probably in 164 again next to Castle. And it's $7, and you always can pick it up at the pharmacy as well. Gentlemen, how's it going on a cool fall Tuesday night?
Man, that weather feels good, don't it?
It's finally turning into fall. Or false fall. I don't know. We might get some more summertime, but in the morning time, it's feeling like fall down here.
I hear that. I don't think we get any more false fall. I think that's it. I think up here it's it. Now down there in Alabama, maybe y'all get one more 85-degree week. I
don't know what false fall feels like in Alabama, so you gotta tell me what that's like.
Go ahead.
Well, you go through all 4 seasons in one day, just about. You'll wake up and it's like 50 degrees, and then during the day, so you have to turn your defrost on to get the frost off of your window in the morning time before you take the kids to school and do whatever. And just about when you go get breakfast or coffee and start heading back home, so 30 minutes, it's like, all right, it's getting too hot. I got to turn this off. So you go from about 50, 52 to about 70. And then on into the middle of the day, you get to about 85. And then it just dwindles down on for the rest of the day. So you go through about all 4 seasons.
In one day.
Man, we had a few of those, man. Like, I think it was a couple weeks back. We had like 2 or 3 days in a row. There was like a 40-degree swing from the morning temps to the evening temps.
It was like 53 in the morning to 93 in the afternoon. And that's why I sound like I do right now, because when the weather can't settle, my allergies and my sinuses are just out of control.
I'm fighting it too. But I got one. This sinus right here is on fire.
Ooh, buddy. All righty. Well, we got a lot to uncover. Obviously, Hokies fall to FSU 39-17. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to preview the Wake Forest Know the Enemy. But before we start all that stuff, I want to give a shout out to all of our listeners, because last week was our largest combined episode we have ever had.
Not quite. We had the episode back there with the panel that hit a bunch of high points there, but this is the highest episode when it's just the crew.
Just the crew.
3,000
listens, over 1,700 on YouTube, 1,300 plus just downloading from podcast sources, and we want to thank y'all, because legitimately, we lost Tally. I don't know where he went. I mean, because legitimately, we're 4 fans. Shelton writes a ton, and kudos to him for that. If you do not check Shelton's workout on the Key Play, y'all need to subscribe just for Shelton's articles in general. It's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Anytime. Your articles are awesome, man. But we're just 4 fans, and we love talking about this and researching it and writing about it and talking about it and making notes and sitting around. Are we going to get Tally back? But that's what we are. You know, Shelton is an alum. Us three are not. And just to do this and have 3,000 people want to listen to your opinion on it, it means a lot to us. And so want to tip the hat to everybody out there listening. Is he gone?
It looks like he said he lost internet there, full stop. So hopefully he can get that back on. But if not, we go forward, man. We go forward.
We move. And let's hit some news and notes while hopefully Tally can get a connection here. And let's drop this. I'm sure y'all saw the news. Former Hokie head coach Justin Fuente is going to Indiana as an offensive analyst. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense from his standpoint. I mean, it's an offensive job where he can kind of get back to his bread and butter. It's an analyst position where he doesn't have to deal with all of the other stuff that he demonstrated he was not very good at Virginia Tech. So, like I said, overall, I think that's a good, solid fit for his skill set at this point in his career.
Sean, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, of all the things that I would knock Justin Fuente for, I think his knowledge of the X's and O's of football is not one of them. I mean, I've talked to coaches who use his run packages from TCU, and you could also look at the way that he neutralized J.J. Watt in that bowl game they had against Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl back a few years ago. So, you know, football, like Brian said, I think it's just a better fit for him being an offensive analyst because he can sort of, you know, get away from the recruiting aspect and just focus on ball, which is his forte.
Tally, we are discussing ex-Hokie coach Justin Fuente taking a job with Indiana as an offensive analyst.
As long as he ain't got to do no recruiting and stuff, he'll be fine. As long as he got to talk to no parents, as long as he ain't got to go make no crazy decisions. Like if he's just in the background collecting the check.
He doesn't have to glad hand donors. He doesn't have to do any of that shit.
He's a pretty good football mind. And no, I do not have great value internet. That would be an upgrade. I have Alabama internet.
Oh,
and
God.
it sucks. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter what you do.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think y'all are right. It is his wheelhouse. It's an offensive analyst job. Again, he doesn't have to do anything but break stuff down and put stuff out there. And like you said, Shelton, some of those concepts he had at TCU, and when we saw it flash at times here, you knew it was right. But I think for him in general, I think that's probably where he lands. And by the way, I'm kind of shocked. As big as his buyout was, I know that's an ill point with everybody. I mean, we're right at 2 years. Like right at 2 years, a couple weeks away from 2 years. I thought it'd be a couple more before he went back to work.
Just stacking
That's
chicks,
fair.
man.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
I mean, so does that mean Grit is coming to Indiana?
Oh, well, Tom Allen's safe there. He's an alum, and he's given a couple of their best seasons of all time. So maybe. Question is, did he become OC at Indiana? That'll be a bigger interest thing. All right. I did not get to see this on Saturday night. I got texted about it from this panel right here. Saw it on Sunday morning. Anybody want to explain what was Miami doing with 35 seconds left at the end of the game?
I don't know, man. I tried my best to make sense of it. I was like, do they just not want any negative plays? I don't, maybe taking a knee gives you an offense a negative run. I don't know. It's just,
we stat watching on in college football. Somebody got some I know what it was. Somebody had the more than on Prize Picks and it was gonna fuck them up.
It had to be something, man, because it's like there's no reason to run the ball, no reason at all.
But the worst part, Sean, I'll let you chime in. The worst part was you'd have run and they fumbled. The worst part was the 30-yard game was not the worst part. They made a good play. The worst part was the touchdown. Why do you have two guys back there? They're going to have to throw somewhat of a Hail Mary to get it to the end zone from 40-plus yards out.
Yeah.
Sheldon, did you get to watch this? Did you see this live by chance, or did you see the text and be like, what did they do?
Yes, I actually did see it live. I caught it right as the fumble was happening. I don't understand defensively how they gave up those big passing plays when they were dropping 8 into coverage. Like, I don't understand how that works. I mean, you're playing prevent defense. You know that the one job you have is to not get beat deep, and they got beat deep.
Just don't get beat deep.
And they got beat deep 2 times.
Yeah.
The last time was still the worst because I sit here as a coach. Well, I'd sit here thinking as a coach, okay, what do they need? They need a touchdown, right? Yeah.
Yep.
4 guys are going to stand at the goal line. You don't.
At least.
You do not leave your heels. Do not leave the goal line until
you just don't let him get to the. Just don't let nobody get to the goal line.
But he got behind him, so
you're in at least a nickel, probably a dime look, and every single one of those people that has a DB attached to their name needs to be on that fucking end zone.
Yeah.
Ready to knock that shit down and get that shit out of there.
It's really funny that happened.
And I mean, you get burned twice. Like, you didn't even learn from your mistake.
Yeah. I don't know why it happened, but I was happy. I wanted
I mean, it's hilarious.
I wanted him to lose.
Well, y'all know that's not the first time it happened.
Oh no, yeah, we've seen it before.
You did
it out there in Oregon.
Almost lost to Stanford doing the same shit. So I tell you what, might need to get that man beat.
Somebody needs to send him the victory formation play design.
You can even do it out of shotgun. Now.
Here's a present. Yeah, do it out of shotgun. Do it however you want to do it. You don't have to teach your quarterback to take a snap under center to do this.
Not anymore.
Receive the snap, take a knee. That's all you got to do.
Game over, W to win college. All right, well, let's move to it, boys. Let's move to Tell the Truth Tuesday of what went well, what went bad, anything we weren't prepared for, and things we got to do better moving forward. Some of these will sound monotonous from the last few weeks. That's okay, because that means we got to do things better. But I'm going to start out the gate here, and let's start with what went well. Brian, what is something you felt like went well on Saturday?
We ran the football pretty well, man. Considering the opponent, I think we ran the ball pretty well overall. I like seeing Drones on that big run, stepping up in the pocket, making a big run, about a 40-yard carry, I believe. Malachi Thomas had his best game of the season. We mixed in Tootin there a little bit. We saw we had a Chance Black and Bryce Duke sighting late. Not that really played a factor in that very much, especially with the ball getting on the turf a little bit there. But overall, I mean, if we had been a little bit better in some other areas, I'd have been okay overall with the run performance.
Kylie, what about you? What do you feel like went well on Saturday afternoon?
We returned a kick. We hadn't done that in a long time. You know what Tootin is just a man. Like he is getting hit before he gets the ball. He's bouncing off people. So I think he only had 30 yards rushing or 25 yards rushing and maybe 25 yards receiving, something like that. But he takes one to the house, and I'm like yelling at the TV, why do you keep putting our starting running back there to run off run a kick, and then he runs it back? So I sit down and shut up. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it's been 11 years since we returned a kickoff, and he did it. And it's crazy because if you go watch that kick, he wasn't running fast until, like, he just kept hitting more gears. Like he was, moseying along. Then he felt some pressure. He hit another gear. Then he felt the dude about to catch him. He hit another gear. I was like, God damn, how fast can he run? So that was good to see. That was awesome to see.
Sean, what about you?
What did we do well? They covered. They covered the spread. that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the kickoff return helped. I thought the rushing game was, pretty solid, all things considered. Success rate wise, they held up pretty well. They stayed on schedule for the most part. So I thought it was a pretty solid performance relative to the quality of the opposition.
All right, I'm kind of with you on that. The one thing I said, and we said this in the Keys last week, is keep FSU in front of you, right? Keep FSU, the passing game especially. Keep that passing game in front of you. And we did. Now, the first quarter, they drove the ball 3 separate times, took about 4.5 minutes each time. We gave up 22 points. That's not great, but it's one of those things that, people are going to be pissed anytime people score on you or you lose a game. But the whole idea of keeping people in front of you is more plays. More plays equals more chances for people to make mistakes, to make errors, to force turnovers. So when they were driving like that first one, they're driving. Remember, as the third one, Khalil Lawson almost had a pick because wherever he dropped, Jordan Travis missed him, and he almost had the pick. So when I say that, keep teams in front of you, it's not necessarily, what if they keep scoring? Because let's talk about the red zone defense later. But that piece is eventually somebody's going to make an error. Or eventually it's going to be third and short, and they're going to run the wrong play, and they're going to have to punt. That's just those things we can build on. Anything else that, offensively or defensively that caught y'all's eye that, from Saturday?
I think the big thing we got some pressure on the quarterback. I mean, they hadn't really surrendered a ton of pressure, especially getting home. And, we were able to do that somewhat consistently, especially in those kind of middle quarters where we kind of made a little bit of a run there. So you like to see that. Hopefully that can continue as we kind of move forward here to Wake Forest this week, because we're going to need to get some pressure, I think, on the quarterback to affect what they do well with that slow mesh.
Yeah, Tally mentioned it last week. They'd only given up 4 sacks all year. We got 2 Saturday, and he was pressured.
They're only giving up 1.
They'd only given up 1.
They had only given up 1 sack.
And we pressured him numerous times. Jordan Travis got out of it. We talked about it. He's athletic. He's slippery. So that is what it is. But again, you keep seeing that against the level of that competition. Obviously things went bad. You lost the game. But
right.
When you see, we ran the ball well against them. Okay, that's good. We had some special teams. We did pretty good there. We kept them in front of us. They did not hit explosive pass plays. But let's talk about what went bad, because it happened again, y'all.
Don't say it. Don't even say it.
Say it, Sheldon. Say it. It happened again. It's one of your favorite categories.
What
went bad?
Explosive plays.
Yes, explosive
run plays.
Explosive runs.
Now
we can't fix it, man. We can't fix it.
All right. Well, let's be real though. For the 2, because it was an 85-yarder. That was bad. The 85-yarder, we pulled up the tape. I'd ask people to cover their eyes, because Jaden McDonald just completely messed that up. Completely. The other one, I looked at it like 4 times myself, and then I conferred with our offensive line specialist over here. The first one was just a good block play. Nobody was really – it wasn't bad fits or anything. It was fit right. They just blocked it well, which, again, you play a team like Florida State with that much talent, guess what happens?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a talent discrepancy. You're gonna run into a play where they're just better than you. But the thing that bothers me is that we played 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
What we have is what we are. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like what we see is what we get. And this is going on every week. You think you got defensive coordinator that's been a long time linebacker coach. You got Pry, who's a defensive guy, linebacker coach. And we just continuously give up big runs when we need one stop. Go back to the Rutgers game. It's like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. They break off a big run. You go to the Marshall game and so on and so forth. It's not anything that I think they can fix in the season. I think Shelton probably said this like numerous times in the chat. Like it's a talent deficiency that we have to fix in the offseason. So they got to go in this portal and they got to get some help, because the run fits have been bad. But when you start playing certain teams, it's like the run fits is bad because you don't know what you're doing, or you just don't have the capability to fix it. So that's what's frustrating.
Well, I was going to save this for a little while, but I'll bring it up now about what to do better moving forward. It's night and day. When Tisdale and Lawson are on the field, the fits are there, they're good. If anybody else or any combination or one of them's all, it legitimately just. And with Tisdale and Lawson, Brian, they made some mistakes earlier, but those two guys have fixed it.
Yeah, they've definitely cleaned up some of their errors as the season has gone on. I mean, they're the first long touchdown, they were both on the field. Lawson slightly over pursued. Tisdale a little slow getting there, but they were more or less where they needed to be. It was just also a well blocked play. The other play, you can't make that move if you're McDonald. You can't try to undercut the blocker in another gap and make that play from behind. You're not that athletic. I was saying earlier, you're not Micah Parsons here. You're not equipped to make that play right now. You need to play sound, play within the structure, and make them earn it. When you do stuff like that, that's that risky against a good team and a defense that's already struggling with these things, that's the outcome.
All right. Anything else y'all want to add to that of what went bad about the explosive runs? All right.
Not really.
Yeah.
Tallies, I think we're tired of talking about it. The issue is we keep freaking
we
doing
keep-
it. So
I mean, at some point, we just either need to see it get better, or we're going to keep having to bring it up every week.
Bring it up every week because it's not getting better.
Hey,
I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
It did against Pitt, so
It did against
maybe
Pitt.
Hokie Nation can show up again and like be the 12th man and help us, because whatever happened against Pitt, we needed to happen this weekend too.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice to have it this weekend. All right, something else I saw that went bad. Overall, the numbers look good. Money downs, Florida State was 6 for 13. That is under 50%. I think it's pretty good. The bigger issue is in the first quarter, they were 5 for 5.
Yeah.
On all those touchdown drives.
And they got home on all, like, so they weren't just 5 for 5, but they put points on there every time. So, falling down 22, I mean, that's killer, man. That kills you.
It does. And it was the whole thing is when you see 5 for 5, Tally, you can say it. You've said it a couple times already. The opportunities were there to stop the drive.
Yeah. You got to have, and that's where playmakers come up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying like you got to go recruit all 5 stars, but when you have people in places that step up and make plays like that, like that's where the cream of the crop rises. You know what I'm saying? I think we have a couple of people who can do that, but consistently we're not showing that we can do that across the board. Like I watched Delane play, and he's balling. Like I seen him jump over a 6'7" guy, to go defend a pass. Mm-hmm. He just can do some stuff that you can't teach. You know what I'm saying? So we got to find those players, and we may have some already there. I know we got a lot of young guys and stuff. I'm not saying I'm down on the team. I'm just saying for right now, we got to have some guys to step up and be able to do that, to be like, I'm going to put the team on my back to make this play.
I'm gonna make a point to this, because you just made the point about Delane making that play on Johnny Wilson, and for the most part holding his own. And it goes back to the blend, right? You've got to have some guys like that. But the other guys have to be the guys who are going to be disciplined, know exactly where they're going and what they're doing, and that's what they're going to be consistent every single time. And the issue is we've got Lawson, freak. Delane's great. Strong's good. Stroman. And you got those 4, but then
APR is flashing.
APR is flashing. But then, like right now, you've got a guy like Nasir Peoples getting back. Safety play was much better Saturday.
Yeah.
But he's that steady Eddie. And the thing is we're missing right now is it's the guys behind some of them.
Oh, yeah.
We're missing pieces. And to me, all we want with those pieces is I don't look for freaks there. That's the steady. The second team linebacker, steady. You're going to go to the right holes. You're not going to do anything stupid. You're going to break your guy down right. You're going to leverage you outside. We don't have those guys. Now, could Stone Snyder have been it? Maybe, maybe not. We'll never know. It'll be a big unknown question. To your point, I think the portal's got to be hit on the linebacker side. It's like you got to find just some good, solid player. Like, hey, you're going to get about 15 snaps a game. You're going to play special teams. Come here.
Trenches in linebacker room. Got to address that.
And at least one safety.
and at least one safety because Nasir is gone. We cannot bring him back.
But if you look at our, and we ain't got to go into this all tonight, but if you look at what we have on the team, if they can hold it together, like the main job of the coaches this offseason should be, let me keep the good that I have here. Let me make sure nobody leaves early. Let me make sure nobody transfers that can come back, because a lot of these names that we're calling that are flashing and are making plays can come back.
Yep.
If you place the right people with them in the transfer portal, then you start to build like a Florida State does. You know what I'm saying? Like we talked about it before the game. The way that they built a team, the way that Norvell did it, is a game plan for Pry if he uses it right. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't think we're Florida State. They're different than we are, but I'm just saying how he's built his team is a way that you can look at it, because some of the way we will never build a team like Dion, because we don't have the Dion. You know what I'm saying? But the way that Norvell did it, we can do that. So I'm just hoping these guys can move forward like that.
I agree, because if you look at it, I think we can incrementally backfill here, because, I mean, you look at Florida State, a lot of their key players came over in the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. And I think if we can have another offseason where we fill in those holes like we did in this one, I think it needs to be more defensive focus, whereas last offseason was offensive focus. But I mean, if you look at our offense, I mean, our transfers are accounting for like 75% of our offensive production.
They are. It's not even a joke.
So that tells you that we've had success in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, let's talk about kind of some things that went bad on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm sorry I bothered y'all with this, and I bothered a few other people with it. Our offensive scheme in the first quarter. Tally, explain to me why we would ever try to attack the edges against Florida State, passing or running the ball.
Dumb. They faster than us. They bigger than us. You know what I'm saying? They're more athletic than us. Attacking the edges wasn't going to work. But what I was more worried about was, why did we come out trying to throw the ball so much? Like, when we start running the ball, and you can say, well, they took their foot off the gas, or they did this. They still had their starters on the field, and their starters still wanted to hit our players. They were still hitting, and we averaged 6 yards a carry. Some of those was drones breaking a run on a pass play, but we came out and the first 3 plays was pass plays. That should never be us. That is not what we're going to be good at all. We don't got the line to do it, especially not against that team. So back to what you said, Curtis, the early scheme, I was blown. I don't know what we was doing, but it went bad. It definitely went bad. Brian, what you say?
Yeah, I did not like how much we were throwing the ball around. I didn't have a problem with the first down throws, but sometimes when those aren't successful, you kind of get in this cycle where you feel like you have to throw it after that. So not having that early success and not really emphasizing the ground game, which, I mean, that's what we've shown. Ironically, like the first 3 weeks, we couldn't move the damn ball. And now all of a sudden, I feel like we have found how we can run the ball, but we didn't get to that fast enough on Saturday against FSU. We didn't get to that mode. Yeah. And I think that if we could have at least had a nice little sustained drive in that early push, giving the defense a little bit more time to settle in, because once Marv made some adjustments on that side, other than those 2 big plays that came in the second half, they didn't really do a ton, right? So if we could have got a little bit more offense going in that early run and slowed down what they were doing on offense, I think that could have, really put us in a better spot as we kind of moved into the second quarter there. But we just kind of went out there and slung it around a little bit, got off the field, and the defense was back on there doing it again.
Sheldon, anything on the early offensive scheme in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, this was a game where they were far more efficient running the ball than throwing it. I mean, just looking at the success rate, When rushing, they're about 55% successful compared to passing about 28%. So I mean that's kind of twice as effective. And I think this is probably Kyron Jones's worst game just from a pure efficiency standpoint. So they just couldn't get anything going in the passing game. And I can understand why you'd want to run the ball more, but it might not be particularly tempting against that Florida State front. But it did have success with it. So I don't know. It's always a balance as an OC between going with what works versus not trying to be too predictable. Because if you just try to hammer, the inside zone all day, then Florida State can adjust that too. So I'm sure that's probably a reason for why they had the splits that they did, but certainly beats me.
Yep. And if you're wondering how much, first 9 plays, 7 passes, 2 runs. The first 3 series were all 3 and outs. Let's talk about it just real quick because we're keep beating the dead horse here. Again, offensive line play still ain't there. Sean, do you have the grades for the offensive line?
For this particular game, yeah, I can pull them up. Just give me 1 sec.
All righty. Brian Talley, just watching from the tape, anything stood out, anything that jumped while Sheldon gets the stat points?
Right side is still bad. Braylon Moore played his best game, I feel like.
I was going to say kind of what Brian said. The right side is still bad. I don't understand why they haven't addressed that. I mean, you got to try to do something, right? But some plays, not to just say everything was all bad. Some plays, again, we were messing up, but we messed up going full speed. I'm okay with that. Like that play where Tootin scored and he jumped over the kid, it was not block perfect. People were in the right places when they pulled. Chaplin was in the right place. He kind of pushed his guy, but the guy that he pushed was the guy that Tootin jumped over. So I'd like to see him finish that block, drive that man on out of the play. But I can say, hey, for a guy that's he's like 6'6", 300 and something pounds.
Yeah.
Like he was getting on the outside and he was moving. You know what I'm saying? So it is some stuff that you can see that's going good or that you can build on, but that right side is horrible. Their defensive line was eating us alive. But I think we only gave up like 2 sacks, which I didn't think I thought we'd give up like 7.
It felt like 7, but I mean, they were living in the backfield on any like true drop back.
Drones was running for his life.
Yeah.
So Sean, what does it say about the grades? Who was our highest, lowest, or the order of them?
Well, sure enough, Brian's intuition was correct because Braylon Moore did have the highest grade among offensive linemen. And then you've got also in addition to that, Caden Moore was okay, probably average. Chaplin a little bit below average, and then Parker Clements below average as well. Shake had a rough game, and Brody Mittis had a really rough game. So it's a little bit both right side and left side. But I saw one play where Shake got twisted around by Florida State's DT and gave up a pressure. I mean he's had a really rough go. I mean he's been okay in pass protection, but the run game has been really rough for him.
Yeah. And y'all were talking about it. They did have 2 sacks, 5 additional tackles for loss. So they were in backfield 7 plays with it.
I feel like this game was the game where Brody's physicality and youth kind of showed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you're finally playing against guys that are head and shoulders above you talent-wise, and
yeah.
I think his inexperience showed up there.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. All righty. Last thing I want to hit on here, and we mentioned it that we needed to be good on 3rd down and 4th down. We were not good at all. 5 for 17 total. Obviously, the first one we're 0-3 out of the gate. And again, we mentioned it last week. The only way we're going this game is play perfect. 5 for 17 on those downs. You ain't gonna get it done. You needed to be somewhere between, to me, 8. Because if you think
8's your minimum. 8's your minimum.
8 for 17 at like, what's that, 47%? You can live because you extend a couple drives. Like you slow their momentum down potentially early. And there's nothing you can say about that, but just it was bad. I do compliment Pry for, about midfield, down late, down 17 or down 15. Screw it, we going for it. We going for it. because what was bad, and I still haven't seen anything. Anybody seen the spot on that 4th and 16? And it legitimately, Drones breaks the pocket, goes as he's going out of bounds, he extends his arm.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he had it had it pretty good, and then it was like a full yard spot off.
It was a couple of spots like that too. I think it was one where Malachi might have caught a pass across the middle and got tackled like right on the line, and they spotted him short. And I think we ended up, trying to do a quarterback sneak and fumbling the ball in the backfield. Just different stuff like that, man, and that you really don't think about. Okay, those spots it ain't that bad, and then it just trickles into something else. But
it makes you run an extra play. It
yeah,
doesn't. The
like
chains don't reset.
Yep.
By the way, can I say something about that fumble?
Yep.
Kyron Drone was in that pile for about 3.5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
In your life, how long does it normally take for a pile like that for them to blow a whistle and call momentum stopped? About 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
That thing is, he jumped in there. I'm like, oh, he's got it. Why ain't they blowing the? There's the ball out. I was like, what? By the way, the other one, Strowman definitely targeting, and this is bad on the ref's part. You tell me how. I'm sitting down with a guy who was not a Virginia Tech fan. When Drones had that big run and is going, they hit him in his ear hole with his shoulder. Well, that ain't targeted. Yes, it is. Head and neck area is part of the targeting rule. You cannot throw your shoulder. Not even. If y'all didn't notice, you knew who had lost his shit on the sidelines when that happened?
Who?
Coach Pry. He was like, he was like screaming like he hit him right in the ear hole. He was mad. They didn't even review it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I watched the Florida State guy, and he has a pretty good podcast. I can't remember the name. I think it's like No Slaw or something like that. So I watched his podcast, and he's got a whole podcast dedicated to how the refs screwed them in that Virginia Tech game. And I was like, what? So it was Florida State fans like livid that they were up 22-0, and the refs tried to get us back in the game. And boy, I was like, hey man, you may be right, but y'all had your hand at getting some good calls too.
There was some shit on the other side too.
Yeah, they might have missed some stuff. I ain't saying they didn't, but they definitely gave you some calls too.
It was a bad call game, regardless of whether you think it swayed one way or the other. It wasn't a very well officiated game.
Yeah.
Not at all. They did not have the top crew there. I don't know where the top crew was. All right. Let's go to this next. Anything that we were not prepared for. And I'm going to lead this one off instead of throwing it to y'all. Because I'm going to be honest. Not really. I expected Florida State to have one big quarter. I did. I expected them to have somewhere between 17 plus points. What I did not expect it out the gate. To me, I think in my head it was going to be third quarter going into fourth where they just put us away. So everything else, how they played, they are as advertised. I watched the LSU game. I watched some of the Clemson game. They're for real. They are legitimately a national championship contender. And to say, and I know some people say, well, moral victories ain't worth the crap and ain't worth the shit. For 3 quarters, and Tally, I know people are going to tell you, oh, they took the gas off. They weren't really playing. For 3 quarters, we played them 17-17. And for the psyche of our team, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you got?
I mean, to me, what surprised me was how wound up we played in that first quarter, especially on defense. Looked like the entire defense was pressing. They didn't settle in. They were looking like they just were a little too tight, little wound too tight, and playing a little faster than they needed to. And sometimes that gets you to a spot where you're giving up those plays and able to keep them on the field. They sustained a bunch of big drives there early, and got that 22 points on the board real quick. So I was glad the coaches were able to settle them down. The adjustments that they made were able to more or less slow down what they were doing, give the offense time to kind of claw back a little bit. But just kind of disappointed that we're seeing that in another big game.
Callie?
Kind of, to go with what you said, Curtis, I I ain't gonna say it was nothing that I wasn't prepared for, but I predicted the game to be, I think, 42-21. So
You did. You were
right about where I thought we would be as far as what they had. But still, even with that, I didn't expect them to be so physical. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think Florida State was going to – I thought they were going to be more finesse just watching some of their games, but they are a really physical team. Like, their wide receivers block. I seen one time, like, they hit Canteen in the chest. I thought they was going to knock his back plate off. Like, they were physical, man. But I can say, something else that I wasn't prepared for was they were physical, but we punched back. Like, I seen Delane come up and hit somebody. I seen some people get some licks on them. You know what I'm saying? I seen some people, getting off some blocks, getting to the quarterback. So I don't want to say we matched their physicality because we did get beat 39-17, but I do feel like they hit and then we didn't just go down. Like, we punched back. We might have we might have lost the fight, but when they went and looked in the mirror, we at least gave them something. We scratched their lip or something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they knocked us down. We got backed up, and we popped them a few times. Sheldon, what about you? Anything that you were not prepared for on Saturday?
Not really. I mean, I thought maybe the defensive backs weren't as productive as I thought. They'd done pretty well in coverage up to this point, but they got cooked pretty well. I can try to find the success rate for passing plays around 48%, so not ideal. That's one area where Tech, I think, has done a really good job this year is keeping things locked down in the passing game, as compared to the run game. But I don't know. I mean, these games are hard to analyze because you've got such a disparity in terms of the talent. And I think Tech went down by about 9 or 10 spots in the defensive SP Plus rankings. So they got a little bit of a downgrade there. I think even when you're playing a team that's really good, you can still make evaluations of how you played. And it's just not a great game for the defense, point blank. I mean, regardless of if you're playing the Florida State Seminoles or the Washington Generals, you got to play. So they didn't make enough plays.
All right, did not make enough plays. All right, well, let's go real quick before we wrap up this segment. Let's just talk about what we can do better moving forward. Brian, what do you got with this?
I mean, it's proven across the board this year we cannot afford slow starts. Point blank, we cannot afford to start slow against really any competition, but especially against that level of competition.
All right, Tally, what about you?
Starts with the quarterback, man. I mean, they took the O out this week, so
they did.
Price said Drones is the guy for now. He threw that in there too, but we all know Grant is hurt. So if we're rolling with Drones and you want him to be the quarterback of the future, you got to put him in positions to be successful. And the way that he can be successful is using his legs in the passing game, using his legs to when the play breaks down, like they got to constantly be in his ear telling him to look for lanes, constantly be in his ear telling him or running plays, rolling him out. Because what I've noticed is, again, Florida State was really good. He was drifting. We're running plays, and he's drifting back instead of rolling the pocket. And it's so hard to make you just can't. That's why we looked like we looked in the passing game. So I'm hoping this week, moving into the Wake game, we got to get back into doing what he's good at.
Sheldon, what about you? One thing we can do better moving forward.
I mean, I think the QB run game can, be a little bit better. I think I was looking at the stats last week, and Jones has been one of the most heavily used quarterbacks in terms of designed runs. And I did notice that against Florida State, like their defensive line was definitely keying on that stuff. Like there was one run they had at the goal or near the goal line on 1st and goal where they had a QB draw for Jones and Florida State was right there. So, obviously the defensive lineman will take those gaps and, if they're expecting a QB draw, they're going to play a certain way. So, but it's a tough situation for Bowen because obviously, that's kind of like a really successful play for Tech. So if defenses start keying in on that, it's going to be a lot harder to get big plays off of that. So just find ways to get Drones out in space and use his legs, which obviously are his best asset.
Well, and you talk about that, like that draw play, because we ran the same draw play the week before and it was a touchdown. Build off of it. Show that draw let them take one false step forward, get the safeties out of position, and cross somebody right where they'd be. That's why you're paid almost $1 million a year. Because if my stupid self can think about something like that, I hope he can. One thing jump pass, yeah, something. But the whole thing is, it's that layer, right? Teams are expecting it now. Do something they're not expecting, and the next thing you know, they're sitting there and they're not moving, doing anything, and the lane opens back up.
Give me some wrinkles off of what we're already showing and what we're already successful at. If we could throw some wrinkles in there, then you at least can set, you use it as your bread and butter, but it also sets up some other things if they start keying on it.
Right. 100%. One last piece, what we got to do better moving forward, y'all. The red zone defense got to get better. We are dead last. Y'all saw it. There's 4 teams. We're one of them. That every time a team has entered the red zone, they have scored on us. 14 for 14 entering it. And I know we're at a day and age where kickers are better. The 35-yard field goals are almost becoming something that's a 90% make even in college. But we need a turnover. We need to block a kick. We need to effectively, do something because it's killer. Teams drive down there and score a touchdown or get a field goal, get points every single time. It's one of those will things. And to know that you are, along with 3 other teams, have not stopped anybody once they've gotten inside the 20-yard line, I mean, that's got to be mental, right? Not only just for the defense, for the entire team, pass to the 15. Well, they're getting something here. I don't know what. They're getting something. It's coming. So –
kind of like we were talking about earlier, you got to have somebody that steps up and makes a play. Excuse me. You got to have a playmaker there. You got to have somebody that says, hey, we're not going to let them score. I don't know what we're going to do, but we get a pick. I don't know. So
force a fumble.
Force a fumble. Do something.
Block a kick.
Do something.
Get an offensive lineman in there on field goal block and get a big-ass hand up there and get a little piece of it.
100%. All right, so y'all, before we get into Know the Enemy, we are going to take a quick pause from our digital partners and Main Street Pharmacy.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
I can probably save you a lot of money, and I can take a lot better care of you. That's pretty much it. My name is Jeremy Counts, and I'm a pharmacist. I own and operate Main Street Pharmacy here in downtown Blacksburg. My brother's a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist, my uncle's a pharmacist, my dad's a pharmacist. I remember he would give me M&Ms to count in little pill counters. This is something I've always done, and I'm just lucky that what I know so well is something that I can do and feel good about it and give back to people. Pharmacies are your frontline defense. Pharmacy's job is to make sure you're getting optimal care for the lowest price possible. Also, we take the pressure off of emergency rooms. I'll tell people immediately when they need to go to the doctor, or I'll tell them if they just need a cream over the counter. If there's something that isn't commercially available, if it's something that's not available in a certain strength or a certain form or anything like that, we'll make it. Tailor-made medications. Some of those options save people a lot of money. What motivates me? I get to take care of people and live in Blacksburg. That's all I need.
As we take a quick break, we'd like to tell you about getting your free website report from our digital partner, Grassroots Digital Marketing Studio. They'll tell you how your website ranks on Google, on-site SEO, and social media. No commitment to buy anything. You can get your free report by visiting grassrootsdigitalstudio.com/free-website-report. Now back to the episode.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into Know the Enemy Wake Forest, who we play 3:30 ACC Network Lane Stadium. It is homecoming weekend. Sheldon, before I get into this, are you going down for homecoming weekend?
Unfortunately, no. I have this thing called work, which prevents me from doing that.
Boo.
Got the whole
damn work,
man. Forget work. No,
the one drawback to working in sports is that you do have to work weekends most of the time. So that's just a price you pay.
The price you pay. All right. Well, I'm sorry you can't go for homecoming weekend. I know I've got a few friends here that they're going Thursday to Sunday, boys.
Oh,
Y'all think we can get away with that?
they're
next
long
year,
hauling
game?
it. They're long hauling it. I
Yeah.
love that shit.
Yeah, Mason long hauling it, man. Because he's not coming Thursday night. That's
Yeah,
why. Because they going to
he
Blacksburg.
talked to me. He's like, I'll be on the road Thursday. I was like, all right, go do your thing, man.
Going for it. All right, well, let's get into it and let's talk about the offense. Let's get into talk about the scheme. Let's talk about Warren Ruggiero's scheme. And little nugget here. DYK, did you know Warren Ruggiero in 1997, 1998 was the head coach of Glenville State? Guess who was the offensive line coach?
I'm guessing Ron Crook.
Ron Crooks was the offensive line coach. So a little nugget there. Two guys that go way back. So Brian, let's take a look. What do we have here from this scheme?
This is still your classic Wake Forest slow mesh RPO. Not a whole lot has changed on that front. A little bit of a less commitment to the run game from that slow mesh than previous iterations. Still very prevalent though, but you're going to see a little bit more of a mix of outside zone, pistol, and some other run calls kind of mixed in there with that slow mesh game. And the pass game is absolutely predicated off of a successful rushing attack. So if they're not able to run the football, then none of the other stuff really works very well.
All right, Tally, who are we leading off with tonight?
So I guess, part of that slow mesh and being able to run and throw the football would be the quarterback. So their quarterback is a Virginia kid. It's Mitch Griffiths. He is 5'11", about 193. He's from Broad Run in Ashburn, Virginia, class of 2022. He committed really early to Wake Forest. He had offers from not super big offers, but I think it's because he committed so early. Appalachian State, Harvard, Kent State. I think he had a West Virginia offer as well, but he committed to Wake Forest in 2018. He was a composite 3-star, 87 guy. So, a little bit higher on the 3-star level. He was number 17 in Virginia when his class came out. And he was the number 22 dual threat quarterback is what they were calling him. And for this year, he is 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's got about 1150 in yards. Yeah, that's all I got on him. Brian, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of your typical Wake Forest quarterback. He doesn't have that elite type of arm that you see from Sam Hartman, so you're taking a step back on that front. But he still could cook pretty well in the short and intermediate passes, especially when he gets a clean pocket. Doesn't really throw on the run much, despite being a threat with his legs, but he is really slippery between the tackles when he keeps it on those reads in the slow mesh. So that's something to look out for. I would definitely say he's more dangerous with his legs than his arm in terms of getting consistent first downs and moving the 6. Not a great deep ball, but he will take a shot here or there and have some success. And will sometimes keep on the RPO when he probably shouldn't and get sacked or hit unnecessarily, creating some situations where that ball is kind of floating out of that backfield and giving some opportunities for some interceptions, as you noted, Tally, with those that touchdown interception ratio.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sheldon, you said you got a little more deeper numbers on this kid.
Yeah, so again, this is a situation where the stats kind of line up with what Brian was talking about. So Mitch Griffiths has not had a great season, second lowest graded quarterback in the ACC, ahead of only Anthony Calandra of UVA, who's been kind of in and out of the starting lineup. Not a ton of big-time throws. They are most effective in short passing, so that's 0 to 9 yards. They don't throw the ball deep a ton. He is the second most sacked quarterback in the Power 5, behind only Shedeur Sanders of Colorado. So we'll get into some of the offensive line stuff. That's not just on the offensive line. That's also on quarterback play and some other blocking as well. And in terms of their passing structure, not a ton of screens. They do not throw behind the line of scrimmage much at all. Like I said, it's mostly just that short to intermediate passing game that works for Wake.
All righty. So let's talk about the next part of the slow mesh, and that's going to be the running back room. And I want to make a real quick point here. The gentleman I'm going to bring up first is usually partnered with a guy by the name of Justice Ellison. Justice is currently going through an ankle injury. He suffered it at the Georgia Tech game where he went for over 130 yards, played the first series of the Clemson game, and basically rolled it up again, is what Clausen said. So, so the look of it, it is going to be this guy who, Callie, shocker, another Virginia kid. Another Virginia kid. Someone that all of us know. Yeah. Demond Claiborne out of King William. Shout out Derek, by the way, Brian.
Yeah.
Over in King William.
Shout out my wife's former employer.
Exactly. So, four-star player coming out was a 93 per 247. Ranked in the top 150, a top 10 running back, a top 5 player in the state when he committed back in the class of 2022. So he is relatively a young buck there. He is 5'9". He is 200 pounds. And right now having a pretty solid season out of the gate. 82 carries, 371 yards, 3 touchdowns, only a couple receptions there. So, Brian, what are we seeing from Demond Claiborne?
Yeah, as you noticed, he was partnering with Justice Ellison there, so he hasn't got as much run as a normal lead back would. He's dynamic. He's caught the ball a couple times out of the backfield. He's done a little bit with it every time he's caught it. They just don't do that very often in that offense, so that's kind of why you're not seeing that. Finishes runs hard, really solid vision at the point of attack. I wouldn't call him a big play threat. He's not somebody that's going to hit a ton of home runs, but he is that guy that can gash you for those 15 to 25 yarders. If you're not getting in the gaps, man, he can still put up some gash plays on you, but he shouldn't be a home run threat unless we pull what we did against FSU that last 85 yarders. So, but he has put the ball on the turf a couple times. That started. I think it was his first drive there against Clemson, put the ball on the turf there. So there's some potential to get maybe a turnover there, but overall a solid back for them.
All right, Sheldon, I know you said you had most of the offense. You got some deeper numbers on Claiborne as well.
Yeah, 74 overall grade, which is pretty solid. It hasn't translated to yards per rush. Wake hasn't been great there as a team rushing. Claiborne, not a big yards after contact guy. You'll see a lot of gap runs proportion. I think he has the most gap scheme runs in the entire ACC among running backs. And he's not been great in pass protection, 7 pressures allowed. So that's, again, talking about the sack rates. That's a big reason why Wake Forest has allowed so many sacks. It's not just the offensive line. It's also been the running backs in pass protection as well.
All righty, good deal. More to know about Demond Claiborne, the running back. Definitely someone we will probably see get quite a few carries on Saturday. I'm going to flip next to the wide receiver room because, once again, it's a Virginia kid. Yep.
There's like a theme here.
There's a
fucking theme.
There's a theme here, and his name is Jamal Banks. Now, he did not go to school in Virginia, though. He went up to St. Francis when he came out in 2020. He was an 85, considered a like a 1,200 ranked player. So way back there. And when he came out, he was only 6'3", 170 pounds. So kind of long and lanky. This kid's grown. He's 6'4". He's 208 pounds now. He is a big kid. And so far this year with Jamal Banks, he has 1/3 of the receptions of all the pass Mitch Griffiths has completed. Just think about it with Tech, between Wells and Drones, the closest is 17%. Jalen Lane has 17% of the calls called. So he's double what Lane's getting. So clearly he is their number one wide receiver. And with that, 32 catches, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brian, based on the size, and we kind of start doing the numbers at 10 a catch, I got a feeling you're going to talk about I got a feeling I know what you're going to say about this kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's their stick mover. He's the guy that they run a lot of those read routes in the slow mesh RPO. So he's going to be the guy that they're hitting on those a lot. But they do like to send him out on kind of a go or a fade down the sideline. He uses his size. They'll do that a lot when they get kind of in plus territory in the red zone, you start seeing those type of routes. But usually between the 30s, you're going to see a lot more of the intermediate stuff and trying to get them to matriculate the ball down the field a little bit. And like a lot of Clawson wide receivers, he's a good stalk blocker. So he's going to do some blocking outside to try to open up some rushing lanes too.
And what about Banks, Mr. Moss?
6th highest graded skill player in the ACC. Probably hasn't gotten the ball as much as he would have liked. Again, not targeted a lot on deep throws. You're just mostly going to see that short 0 to 9 yard range. So that's kind of where they work.
All right, it's crazy. He's 6, and you expect him to get the ball more because a third of all the passes completed. I'd love to hear his target numbers, but if you're looking for a deep threat, and like Brian said, they don't throw it deep. Keep an eye on Wesley Grimes. Grimes is averaging over 20 a catch from them, so he might be their big play guy. But we're going to flip real quick here, and we're going to talk about the offensive line. I know Shelton has some stuff. So, Shelton, I'll let you lead. What do you have as far as their offensive line goes? And then, Brian, you get into the technical stuff.
Yeah, so it was kind of a tough unit for me to analyze just because there's lots of conflicting statistics. So first off, I had done this research a while back. Virginia Tech and Wake Forest are the only ACC schools that have 3 starters who had no prior starting FBS experience. So for a full season, that is. So obviously with that, there's some growing pains, but despite that fact, they've had some pretty impressive individual standouts. Left guard Michael Juergens, highest graded lineman in the conference. Left tackle Spencer Clapp, the highest graded run blocker. And then on the flip side, the worst graded offensive lineman is right tackle Eric Russell, but he's still around average. So in terms of individual performances, it's been pretty solid. Now, with that being said, Wake Forest has generated almost 0 explosive run plays. They've got a few in that 10-plus range, but in terms of like the 20-plus to 30-plus yard gains, there are very few and far in between. And part of that could be running backs as well. Their success rate as an offensive line is, a solid okay, but again, it's just about those running backs not being able to get those big gainers. They're struggling to finish drives. They don't really convert, points per drive inside the 40 particularly well, and they've also given up a lot of havoc. So havoc rate is mainly looking at sacks and tackles for loss and basically negative plays. So they've been pretty bad there too. I'd say overall, again, it's hard to judge because their individual offensive line grades are solid, but it just hasn't translated to team success, I guess. And again, there's lots of reasons for that, but certainly the share of the blame is kind of spread around pretty evenly.
All right, Brian, what'd you see on the tape?
Yeah, it kind of backs up what Sheldon's bringing there from a statistical standpoint. They're not elite, but I'd say overall fundamentally sound. They play with pretty solid fundamentals, especially in the run game. They're not going to overwhelm a defense, but they don't really miss a ton of assignments either. So they usually get some pretty solid rushes. They're not falling behind the 6, even if they're not necessarily getting those 4 or 5 yarders that you'd like to see to start a drive out. And they don't allow a ton of negative run plays, but they will give up a lot of that in the passing game. So sacks, QB hits, things like that. So pressures. So that's something to look out for, especially with that slow mesh. You're definitely going to see that. There'll be some opportunities there if we can, kind of pinch them on the edges, being able to force Griffiths into some rough situations there in the backfield.
And what y'all are saying about the offensive line as far as the havoc, you mentioned that, Shelton. They rank 127 in sacks allowed. They're giving up 4.5 sacks per game. In 22 sacks, 136 yards worth of loss there. I didn't get a chance to look at the TFL. And the other point you make about Sheldon, they're a solid running team, but this is what'll catch your eye. They rank 60th. We take 60th right now in the country. It's about 162 yards. Here's the kicker, though. They are one of the only teams in that kind of statistical range that average under 4 yards a carry. They're at 3.93. Go to what Sheldon just said. They don't explode. It is a slow grind. So definitely some opportunities there on the offensive side of the ball. Again, it's more of, to me, they're like the little engine that could, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to beat you, they're going to matriculate it.
Yeah,
But
you
you
got to get
gotta-
off the field on third down.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's just kind of like that's what you expect out of Clausen's team. Like
Yep.
he's just a fundamentally sound coach. He's always got a well-coached team. They usually do the small things right. You know, they don't overwhelm you with flash, but he always has a solid team. So again, we can't take them lightly. All the stuff that we're talking about is what I'm sure the coaches are looking at and are going to have to correct. So I think Brian just said it. You got to get off the field on third down. You got to, because they're probably going to be in a lot of 3rd and 4s, you know, 3rd and 3s.
Yep.
Because of how they play, and you got to give yourself a chance. You got to get off the field.
All right. And the other point is you mentioned that, but it's also Sheldon again. Everything's jiving with some of the stats. 120th in tackle for loss. They're giving up 8 tackles for loss a game. I want 15. I want 15 combined sacks, tackles for loss in this game.
Damn.
We do that. Ain't no problem. We're going to flip over to the defensive side of the ball now. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Brad Lambert, someone J.C. Price very familiar with because he was his defensive coordinator while J.C. was down at Marshall. Brian, what sort of scheme is Mr. Lambert running here?
Yeah, this is a 4-3. They've got a stand-up edge that they use versus having 2 guys with their hand in the dirt. You know, looking at Lambert, I mean, really everywhere he's been, the defense is kind of taking a step forward. So solid coordinator, does a good job of getting a good amount out of the talent that he's given, especially at those stops. So, and this is a return trip for him to Wake Forest. He was there a couple years back as well. So he's circling back home a little bit here.
All righty. Well, let's talk about some of the players. And we're going to start with Jacob Roberts. Jacob Roberts, actually a portal guy. He was one of the top linebackers in the country. He was played down at North Carolina A&T, literally right next door down there to Wake Forest, both in the Triad. And he is from Mallard Creek. That's a damn good high school down in the Charlotte area now. And so far this season, really racking up the stats, 40 total tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, including that are 5 sacks, also has a forced fumble. So definitely a dynamic player from the stat wise. What's the tape say, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at avoiding blockers and making tackles in the run game. Solid pursuit, takes good angles. But, you know, overall, I'd say he's not really good in coverage, especially if he gets matched up in man responsibilities. Not very good in that area. They will use him on blitzes. He'll get after the quarterback. Solid in that area of his game, but nothing that I would say would be scary. But he will get after the passer a little bit.
So just probably some opportune timed blitzes.
Yeah, it's more kind of scheme based. It's not anything he does necessarily at elite level, but between the scheme and his ability, he's able to make some plays here or there.
All right, good deal. Anything deeper in the stats, Shelton, on this guy?
Yeah, he's really good at pass rush, around an 81 grade. He's got 8 pressures in the season, which is pretty good for a linebacker.
Okay, interesting. So definitely it correlates with that blitzing that might be his biggest strong suit and something we need to watch out for, especially with the way our line sometimes plays. Tally, who's next?
We got Jay Sheen Davis. He's from Snellville, Georgia, class of 2020. Went to Shiloh High School, I think it's called. He was a 4-star guy, 247 4-star guy. Rated a 90 out of high school. Top 500 guy. It looks like 479 in the nation coming out of high school. He had some pretty decent offers. Arkansas's in there. He had an offer from Virginia Tech. He had offers from I think LSU was in there. Just about the whole ACC, as well as Penn State, Michigan. So he had some pretty decent offers from what it looked like. 6'3", 235 coming out of high school. I think he's right at about 25 tackles this year, 4.5 sacks. So, I mean, he's getting in the backfield. He is causing some chaos. Brian, what you got on him?
Yeah, so I talked about the edge players. One's a stand-up, one's a hand in the dirt. He's the hand in the dirt guy. Uses his hands really well to shed blockers and get after the quarterback. They like moving him around. He's strong enough to play. Like they'll slide him inside to a 3 or a 4-eye technique. Holds up really well when they shift the front for those blitz looks that they like to bring. And I definitely say overall he's their best defensive player.
All right. Any extras on this one, Shelton?
Another guy that's also very good in pass rush, top 5 grade in the ACC, and he's also pretty good in the run game. Looking up the grade right now, yeah. So pretty solid in the run game and really good in pass rush, kind of like the case for Jacob Roberts.
Looks like we're looking at their right players. And we're going to talk about one more guy. Let's go to the back end of this, and let's talk about Deshaun Jones. Deshaun Jones was a low 3-star when he came out in 2021. You take a look at his offer list. The other most exciting offer is probably Kansas. Some FCS offers, got like Elon on there, so not a huge offer list. Was ranked way down, and he was an 83 when he came out of Mount St. Joseph High School out of Baltimore, Maryland. But so far this season, he's having a really good one. 15 total tackles. He is leading the ACC in interceptions with 3. And last season, as a redshirt freshman, 5 pass deflections. So clearly, maybe a little bit of a hawk here. Brian, what's the tape saying on Deshaun Jones?
Yeah, he plays primarily lines up at that left corner back position. Definitely his best overall cover corner on the team. I'd give him a higher grade in man coverage than zone, but he's pretty solid in both. I'd call him a willing tackler, but he's also a guy that will miss tackles when he kind of gets his nose in there. And I'd say he could be a little more physical when playing the ball versus trying to get in there to get the interception. There's some opportunities where if he was a little more physical there, you might get a pass breakup versus the reception. So, but definitely their overall best defensive back and a pretty solid cover corner.
All right. Anything additional on him, Shelton?
No, he actually, oddly enough, it was kind of a weird situation because he did not grade particularly well. I would say more so since the Elon game, which is the first game of the season. But he is a big tackler, and he'll get some few stops here and there. Coverage wise, pretty solid, around a 66 passer rating against, which that's a pretty good number. So he's good in coverage.
All righty. So there are some of the defensive players and some ideas of what we should see scheme-wise from the Wake Forest Demon Deacons on Saturday afternoon. Let's roll to it next, boys. Let's talk about the Hokie keys. I'm going to start at the bottom here. Shelton, what is one of your big keys for the game on Saturday?
Well, putting me on the spot early. I would say kind of what I talked about last week, success on early downs defensively. Wake Forest tends to struggle a lot on those early down situations, and I feel like with the way their passing offense is structured, if you can get them in, 3rd and long, that's gonna be pretty big because they just don't have the, I would say, downfield passing attack required to convert those those obvious passing downs. With the way that Griffiths has struggled, the way their offensive line has been hit or miss in pass protection, I just think the easiest way to win this game is get them in obvious passing downs.
All right, get them an obvious passing down. Tally, what about for you? What are some keys you thinking about in this game?
You got to get QB1 involved, man. You got to get QB1 involved in the running game early. We don't need to come out and unless you're coming out throwing a bomb on the first play, trying to just catch somebody sleeping, we need to come out and we need to run the ball. We need to come out and we need to get Kyron Drones involved in the run games and also roll that pocket for him because he looks pretty good when we roll the pocket and he's kind of throwing on the run.
All righty. Brian, what about you?
No rushes over 30 yards this week.
30 yards. You're capping
30
it
yards.
at 30, huh?
Capping it at 30.
All
We
right.
did, that's a pretty big key, so I ain't mad at him.
That is a big key. and I'm gonna kind of piggyback something that we've been talking about. We've got to start fast. You talk about that bomb tally. Let's throw the bomb. Let's look at Felton going deep early or catch him with a big play early. I think that is going to help. I think it'll help even more because now we know how this team is paced.
Yeah.
The other piece is I think we've got to force some turnovers. We see Griffiths obviously will throw some picks. We obviously know Claiborne will put some on the ground. So to me, very key that we get at least one. I'd like to see two, but we've got to win it. We cannot give them the opportunities because of how they play the game. Them getting the ball off turnovers, it's going to put us at a disadvantage because I know they're going to want to slow it down, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. All right.
I mean, it's lining up good for us as far as what we're seeing, what we're good at, what they're not good at, what they are good at. This is a team that's coming to our house that we can beat. This is going to be a big week. I said it on Twitter earlier this week. This, not more than any other game, but, this is going to be one of the more important games for Pride this year because where we're at right now, we're 2-4. Everybody expected you to lose to Florida State. Everybody did. Nobody expected you to win. So it wasn't a huge backlash on losing that game. People are going to critique it. But this Wake team is coming to your house. The line has shifted. We opened up as 3-point underdogs, I think. And the line has shifted to now we're favorite, I think, 1.5 points. Vegas knows something. The Hokie fans know something. That fucking coaching staff better know something. You get out there, you're at home, you use the crowd, you go beat them. You need to go and beat this team from start of the game to the finish of the game. Like, you don't need to be in no fucking hell game with them because Clausen is a good coach and his team is going to be well coached. So this is – and the reason I say it's a very important game for Pride because when you're going against a coach like him, you got to out-coach him. So for Pride, he can show that he can out-coach good coaches in this game.
All righty. Well, let's get into it because now we got to make our predictions here and make some big screeners because, as always, we are watching a lot more than just the Hokies game. Just it's who we are. And the big screener segment is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, a daily fantasy app where you make entries based on player projected outcomes. I've got nothing this week because I have not had a chance to look. I've been actually scavenging the waiver wire for anything I can find in fantasy because Justin Jefferson went down.
Hey, give me Geno Smith for more than 248.5. So
who they playing?
They are playing
Cincinnati. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
All right, there's Brian. He said that's the one he's going with. So, go on there. It's really cool. It's really easy to go on there, and especially when you can use our BC Picks sign-up code where they will match any deposit up to $100 when you use that code. Use the QR code you see there or go to boundarycornervt.com/BC Picks. Just a real quick brief synopsis. Last week, Brian 3-2-1, Shelton 4-1-1, Tally 2-3-1, and myself 4-1-1.
Fade Tally.
Whatever Tally says. When we get to the big screeners, go the opposite way. But Tally, I'm going to throw it to you first when it comes to predicting this Hokie game. Right now, there's the line right there. What do you think?
I wanted to fade myself because that's just what I wanted to do, but I got the Hokies winning this thing, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a score prediction. I got the Hokies taking this game 24-14.
All right.
Crowd's going to be in it. We're at home. Y'all got all maroon. Well, we'll talk about that off the camera, I guess, with Curtis. You got mostly maroon.
Mostly maroon. Not all maroon. Mostly maroon.
Curtis said, fuck them stripes.
Yeah, you got mostly maroon.
Just put all
Go
maroon.
win the game.
Go win the game. Brian, what about you?
I'm, as always, I'm going with the Hokies, man. I think this is a good opportunity to get back on the right track. It's going to put them in a position where they still have an outside shot at making a bowl this season. This is not a very good Wake Forest team. This is not probably the worst Wake Forest team we've probably seen in at least probably 4 or 5 years. So this is an opportunity. Yeah, Sam Hartman's not there. This is an opportunity to punch him in the mouth a little bit and get back on track.
All right, Brian with the win as well. Sheldon, what about you?
Even the Hokies straight up 24-21. I think Wake Forest is really beatable. I think their offense is not great, and I think Feldarius Payne is going to cook, as the Kitties would say. So give me the Hokies.
There's the Kitties.
I forgot I didn't give my prediction. 31-27 Hokies.
31-27 Hokies. Got it. All right, I'm with y'all. Back on the choosing the Hokie train. Again, I think the way the defensive line, played last week, getting pressure on Jordan Travis and getting pressure against a much better defensive line definitely carries the Hokies through that. And I think to what we said, I think, the run defense for Wake is solid, but I think we can break some. Give me Hokies 31-23. So we win and we cover. All righty. Now we get to go to the big screeners. It is actually some sneaky good games this week. I still don't think it beat a couple weeks ago, but still some sneaky good games. In mine, I am going with the Miami Hurricanes versus the North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina is laying 3.5 at home in this game. And I might be crazy, but everything I keep thinking about what happened with Miami and Georgia Tech, I feel like they were looking forward to the game against Carolina because it was supposed to be 5-0 versus 5-0, 2 top 15 teams. And for just a split second, Mario Cristobal thought about that and handed the ball off instead of taking a knee. I don't know who wins this game, but I think it's going to be a tight battle. We saw Miami absolutely annihilate Texas A&M down at home, and I know that was at home. It ain't much of a home field advantage down there because they only show up when they're like 7 or 9-0. Anything less than that, Miami fans don't show up. But I think it's going to be close enough where I will take 3.5 points and let it ride. Give me the U. Tally, who you got on this one?
Well, like Curtis said, they might have been looking ahead, and coach handed the ball off. But there was a lot of stuff happened after that. They handed the ball off. They fumbled. They got on defense. They gave up a big play. They knew they had to not let a man get in the end zone. Then they gave up another play, got behind everybody. It wasn't even a Hail Mary. He was just open. They're going to go into Chapel Hill. They're going to get their ass beat. That's what's going on.
Laying 3.5.
They're going up there. They're losing. Their center was on the sideline crying, asking them, what the fuck are we doing? He's still saying that all week. Sorry, you.
Shelton?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of a clash of cultures, so to speak, in that Miami locker room. I think they're going to come in a little bit dazed into Keenan Memorial. I think UNC is going to lay a smacking on them, so I got UNC.
All right.
And you know what? We're going to make it 3 in a row here.
Okay.
I think that UNC is going to handle some business. I think Miami, really got exposed a little bit against Georgia Tech. I don't think some of what we saw was a fluke. And I think that UNC's offense is just going to be too much for them.
All righty. Got it. Everybody's got the name on the line now, so no crying about it on Saturday night. Tally, you picked the next one, and Tally's going way, way, way out west to Husky Stadium and the Puget Sound, 75,000 plus.
This is an interesting game. Now, I haven't watched a ton of Washington games, but I know that their quarterback's a baller. Matter of fact, I think he left Indiana, right? So Justin Fuente fits right in now. They run quarterbacks off, and then they go somewhere else and have Heisman careers. Perfect job. I'm taking Oregon in this game. I just think Oregon's going to be the better team, and they're going to win the game.
All righty, Sheldon, you're up next on this one.
This is going to be an awesome game, but I'm going to take Oregon. I had a tough time picking it because I think you got two really good teams, but I just like Bo Nix, and I think Washington's going to come out a little bit too amped up with their home crowd. So give me Oregon.
Brian?
I've got Oregon too. I think that the Huskies have probably the better quarterback overall, but I think that Oregon, top to bottom, is the better team, and they're going to get it done.
You talk about that home field advantage. It is a home field advantage at Custody Stadium. I think the Huskies come out and win this game by more than 3 points. I think by a touchdown. I think Michael Penix has some moments. And by the way, y'all didn't listen to Tally's advice. He said fade him, not go with him on picks.
They did it. They did it before we got on here. They didn't know.
They didn't know what you were picking. All right, Brian, what is your game of the week, sir?
Yeah, I've got UCLA, Oregon State. Oregon State is laying the 3.5. And you know what? Oregon State, man, they're going to take care of business. I think what we saw from UCLA last week is promising, but I think Oregon State, just top to bottom, is going to be able to handle that, all the noise, and take care of business.
Yeah, I'm with you as well on this one, Brian. Give me Oregon State. I'll lay the 3.5. I mean, UCLA was playing Wazoo last week. It was a good game, but DJU, he keeps proving over and over he wants the problem at Clemson. So give me the lay the points, take the Beavers.
Is it on me next?
Tally, you next.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with what my man Thomas Train said. I mean, I think UCLA's playing some defense, man. You know, a lot of times we don't see defense out there. I think UCLA is playing decent defense, and that's the only way you're gonna beat DJ. So I'm taking UCLA.
Sheldon, wrap us up here.
Taking Oregon State because UCLA is coming off a big win, and typically I like to pick against teams that are coming off big wins. I mean, the
Fade the big wins.
Fade the big win. By the way, DJ UCLA, 10 touchdowns, passing, 3 rushing, and just 3 picks. So 13-3 touchdown to interception ratio so far this year for the 4-1 Beavers. All right, Shelton, what is your game?
What is my game? We'll have to go, if I can see it, yes, USC ND. So another really good one, I'm taking Notre Dame because, as always, in keeping with my philosophy, they are coming off a very tough loss to Louisville. So I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they're going to beat USC.
All righty, Brian.
You know what? I'm trusting in Shelton here. I think that what we saw last week was not indicative of what Notre Dame is capable of. I think they have a good bounce back week this week. I think you see Hartman play a much better game this week, and they take care of the Trojans.
Nah, not so fast. They struggle with that Louisville offense, and I know Brom is a very good head coach and a very good offensive mind, but so is Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley got a lot more weapons. Where is this game? I did not get a chance to look at that regardless. I'm assuming, it's got to be at Notre Dame if they're favored by just the normal hook. Yeah, I don't know it could get as ugly as it did late Saturday night. Because it got ugly late Saturday night because that offense is not clicking for Notre Dame. Take the over, whatever that is. I'll look it up while Tally gives his prediction here.
Man, just watching again, I really like Sam Hartman. I think he's a good quarterback and just a good kid. But in a lot of games that I've watched Notre Dame, they're not scoring a lot of points. I don't think USC has a good defense, but I know they got a damn good offense. So unless Notre Dame's going to score points with them, I think it's over with. I think Caleb Williams and USC goes in there and wins.
And the over-under is 62.5. I think I would take the over on that right now as we speak. That's at Notre Dame Stadium, 7:30. Some really good nightcap games. Carolina, Miami's a nightcap game. And this next one we're going to discuss is a nightcap game. And I threw it on here because – If Duke wins this game, Mike Elko will be the Michigan State head coach. Book it. If he's not already in principle signed with them. So
Damn,
Duke,
Curtis.
State, what?
You say he gone already?
He gone already. He ain't fooling. They willing to pay somebody $100 million up there to be an average coach. And plus with Elko, I think he fits in that. Coaching at Notre Dame for a few years, coaching at Wake for a few years. I think he fits what probably they want to do. But this game, again, another Saturday night game. Y'all see it, Duke laying 3.5. Brian, lead us off.
It's Duke. I don't trust what NC State's doing on offense. So until they show me something on offense, I can't trust them anymore. So I'm going Duke here.
Same. Even though they showed something against Marshall, we've seen Duke take care of a lot more talented teams. Late at 3.5, I think Duke wins by like 10. Tally?
What's going on with Duke's quarterback?
Not good.
He's out.
He's out.
North Carolina State has a tackling machine over there. Whoever they put in there, if they're not ready, Peyton Wilson is going to feast. I don't think that their offense is that good, but I know Duke's quarterback was the machine that drove their offense. So I'm taking North Carolina State.
Sheldon, last one.
Yeah, it feels like Wilson's been in college for forever. But anyways, I feel like this is the type of game where a team's missing a quarterback and you think, oh well, they're going to lose, but they come out and just play with their hair on fire. I think NC State is going to get thoroughly outcoached, just based on gut feel, and I think Duke's going to win the game.
There we go.
Fade there. That's what I would have did.
Perfect. We faded. Y'all faded me. Then we faded Tally.
Yep. Good job. I don't blame you.
Anything else breaking tonight? Hey, look, y'all, like 90 minutes. We got it right on time this time.
Well, we got
right down the middle, man.
Sheldon,
right down the
we
middle.
got Sheldon working now. We got to get him in bed at a good time.
That's right.
That's right. Needs a good 8 hours. Listen, there are points in your life where you just sacrifice to sleep. This is one of them. This is one of the nights right here that I'll sacrifice sleep along with Sunday night. I sacrifice sleep Sunday night, boys.
Yeah, you saw Kettle's fucking legacy game, man.
Legacy game, trifecta, touchdowns. I think that was our defense legacy game because Dallas, if y'all didn't know, I'm a 49ers fan, been a 49ers fan since I was a kid. That was a throttling.
Yeah.
That was a beatdown. And I happily stayed up and watched every snap of that game until 11:30 on Sunday to go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
So,
I don't blame you. I would have to.
Yeah, had to have something made me feel good after Saturday night, especially my fantasy team ain't doing good either. All righty. Is anything breaking?
Nothing breaking, but Andretti, keep your head up, man. I've been seeing your comments. Keep your head up.
I'm gonna put this out here. It was tweeted about 7:30, so a little bit before. Eric Hobeck, who writes for Inside or Streaking the Lawn, one of the UVA sites, he is saying multiple sources close to the situation. Key UVA donors have effectively got the money to buy out Tony Elliott and his staff.
Oh, already. I wanted him to stay there for a little while. What he doing? He bullshitting over there.
So just take that what you will. I don't know if anything's going to come to fruition of it. Again, he's saying they've got the money to do it. The question is, do you just flip it and rip it? And who's actually going to be willing to go and coach UVA?
I think that's the problem with pulling this isn't, USC. This isn't Florida. This isn't any, Tennessee. This isn't a place where you can pull the plug really quick and still attract top talent. Like, this was a tough job to accept.
Right.
Without the feeling that you're only going to get 1 year, 2 years to show what you can do before the plug gets pulled on you. So I don't know if this is the best idea just from UVA standpoint. I would much rather say keep Tony in there because I think we're doing a much better job on at least the things off the field compared to what's going on over at UVA. So if we can keep that up, all the better. But if UVA wants to move on, I feel like they're going to have just as hard a time getting a quality candidate coming in there, especially after doing something like that. So,
what if they get food, like Thomas said?
Please, absolutely.
Man.
Yeah, he'll go prove to us that he is a good coach, and he'll go win the ACC over there. I'd be pissed. Fucking Fuente.
Nah. All right. Well, boys, let's wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast brought to you by the Main Street Pharmacy. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
And I am Shelton Moss.
Visit the website boundarycornerbt.com to listen to all of our episodes. Check the merchandise shop out while you're there. Follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What we're going to start doing, and we started it tonight. I threw it in there a little while ago. At least I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. YouTube. Subscribe for it. We're also going to start putting the link in the Twitter stream every week, so you can click on that. Why, you ask? Why are we going to do that? Well, click on that. You can listen to it. We are set up in a way where you can actually close YouTube down. The video and the audio still pop up, so you can listen to us while you scroll Twitter. You don't have to keep going past us or check it out. So we're going to start doing that next week. As always, our buddy Jason Long plays us out. Check him on at his website, jasonlongmusic.com. Check out all of his stuff. Apple Pie, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Also, do not forget to subscribe to any of our podcast places. He does have a song I think we should hook up in the next couple weeks, Brian, off that EP, little Halloween music. If you didn't know, I think we got to close that out one night over the next couple weeks. We thank you all for listening, and as always, let's go.
Okay.
Peace.